Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are a new subscriber, hi, I'm Samira, welcome. I have a lot of new subscribers. Thank you all for reaching out to me and saying hi. So I see all your comments. There's a lot of comments that I haven't replied to yet, but I'm getting there, so bear with me. But if you're an old subscriber, it's your girl, the girl that is the ghost Samira, that pops up every now and again, makes a video and disappears. Oh my gosh, I'm actually terrible. Guys, I'm going to get consistent. Like I'm terrible. But yes, I've got a schedule together now. I know exactly when I'm going to be recording. So yeah. Guys, there's no point in me even trying to convince you. I bet you're just thinking, yeah, right, I believe it when I see it. But yeah, you'll see it, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the majority of my subscribers are mums. Comment below if you're a mum, just so I know. But I think from the messages that I've been getting, a lot of you are mums, and so I definitely am going to be doing a lot more mummy videos. And I've had requests to do, like, to talk about my pregnancies. I've had requests to do like a mummy day in the life. So I've got so many mummy videos coming your way. And apparently a lot of you are from America as well, so
hey girl, how y'all doing?
I'm so needy. Yeah, today I wanted to talk about a very familiar topic amongst mums all over the globe, and that is the topic of mum guilt. Now, you may not be a mum yet, you may have never heard of the term mum guilt. You may be a new mum who is currently going through it and don't actually realise what it is, or you may be a mum who's experienced it and has come out on the other side. Me personally, I've experienced it, I'm still experiencing it, and I find that every time my child goes to another stage in life or another stage in their development, I get another sense of mum guilt. And so it's definitely not something that I'm over and that I'm through, but I want to keep it real with you guys and share with you things that I'm not necessarily over, but I'm going through it, because I think talking about certain things is very therapeutic, and knowing that there's other people that are going through similar. So like I shared in my journey to motherhood video, just before I became a mum, I had 2 miscarriages, and in having those miscarriages I felt like, I would say that's the first time I experienced mum guilt. And even though I officially wasn't a mum yet, I just felt so guilty, and I felt like the miscarriages were my fault, and it was something that I had done or not done, and that's what caused the miscarriages. And in that time I felt so dark, I felt so low, I felt like a failure, like I shared before. And I literally had to learn how to pick myself up, and I had to learn how to speak to myself and get out of that state, because you know, it doesn't matter how many times somebody says something to you, if you don't believe it yourself, you're stuck. And so I literally had to learn how to speak to myself. I had to learn how to speak the word of God to myself, and to really get it into my bone marrow and believe it. And so that was the first time I experienced the guilt. And you know, like I said, I had to speak to myself. I had to check myself and say, Samira, look, this was inevitable. It wasn't something that you could control. And obviously give me a testimony, which thank God has touched so many women today. Obviously at the time things weren't that clear, I didn't really understand, but that's definitely one tip that I would give you. When you're feeling low, you need to learn how to speak to yourself. You need to learn how to shift the negative thoughts and replace them with positive thoughts. The second time that I really experienced it and it got to me is when I became a mum. And you know, I had prayed for a healthy baby, and thank God I got a healthy baby. And when Aiden was born, he was a little bit ill, and I will share that in another video because I don't want this video to be too long. But he was quite ill, and you know, I remember feeling guilty over that and feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, it's because of me that he's not well. But I felt guilty over that, and again I had to learn how to get out of that state. And thank God he was fine. You know, that the illness just disappeared. You know, obviously I know it was God. One of the biggest hurdles for me when I became a new mum was breastfeeding. Now, breastfeeding, when you're not a mum, you just think it's not rocket science, there's not much to it. You put the baby on your breast and they feed. You think it's so simple until you try it. And when I first tried breastfeeding, I can't tell you how difficult I found it. Like, I was in hospital for a while with Aiden when I first had him. And I remember other mums, around me, their babies were just latching on so easily. And for me, I was struggling. Like, Aiden wouldn't latch, and when he would latch, I would be in pain, and then the midwives would come and tell me, you're in pain because you're not doing it right. And I just felt so crap. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and that shook my confidence, and it made me nervous to go home with him and be alone with him. And so when I did go home with him, and because I had all these midwives' voices in my head, I didn't know what I was doing. And it was only up until I got so frustrated that I contemplated stopping breastfeeding. And that's when I had to say to myself, look, Samira, the baby is just learning how to feed. You are also, this is a new experience for you as well. Take your time. You will eventually get it. It might take 2 weeks, it might take 4 weeks, it might take 6 weeks, but you will eventually get how, the baby will understand how your body works, and you will understand how the baby likes to feed. And so just allow time. Like, don't feel rushed, don't feel pressured. And let me just keep it real with you, it is very painful. And some women don't have that experience at all. Some women, the baby latches on the first time, they have no pain, their milk flow is crazy heavy. That's great for them. But for other women, that is not the case. So I would just say keep going. If that's what you want to do, keep going. But one thing I would say is, for mums that are, I always used to say breast is best, and it's scientifically proven the benefits of breast milk, so I'm not going to go into all of that. But what I would say is be mindful of women that, for health reasons cannot breastfeed. You can make them feel very inadequate when you say breast is best. So what I think is best, just my opinion, I think well fed is best. Be it formula, be it breast milk, because yes, I will breastfeed every single one of my children. I love it. I love not only the benefits and nutrition it gives them, but I love the bond that you get with your child. However, like I said, there are women who cannot breastfeed, or start to breastfeed and have to stop breastfeeding. Don't make them feel inadequate, because if you're that mum, you can feel really guilty, and you can feel like you're not giving your child the best, and that is just not fair. So be confident in whatever it is you decide to do with your child feeding wise, be it breastfeeding. If that's what you want to do, fight for it, and you will get it. And if you're unable to do it, feed your child the best way that you can. You will still be able to nurture that bond with them, with or without breastfeeding. Another time where I started to feel mum guilt is when obviously before you become a mum, if you have a baby shower, or just in general, the women in your life who are mums, give you advice. And it's not a bad thing, of course. They just share with you their experience, and they share what works for them. So I had this from my mother-in-law, I had this from my mum, I had this from my mummy friends, I had it from my sister. I had so many different types of opinions and advice, and that was great because I could pick and choose where I wanted to. But it was also very overwhelming, because when I had Aiden, I was like, okay, what do I do? What is the right way of doing things? And that's one thing that I had to realize, that there is no direct manual for motherhood. Motherhood is a very big task. I think it's underestimated how big of a task motherhood is. You are raising this little human who is one day gonna exist in society, and we are all products of our environment. And so whatever values you're installing in that child, whatever morals you're installing into that child, it's gonna reflect in them one day later in their life. And so, that's where the pressure comes, and that's where the panic comes of, oh my gosh, constantly questioning yourself, and constantly questioning, oh my gosh, but I've been told this, I've been told that, that didn't work for them, is it going to work for me? There was just so many questions that I had, and again, it really made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing and that I wasn't confident. One thing I would say with that is, you have to know and understand that being a mum, it is a God-given thing, and whatever job God gives you to do, he will give you the tools and he will equip you to do it. God has given us all maternal instincts. Think about it, like, nobody has to tell you that your baby is cold. Something inside you just tells you that my baby's cold, let me wrap them, or my baby's hot, or that's a different cry from the feeding cry, maybe there's something not right. You just have these God-given maternal instincts, and be confident in that. Be confident in the fact that, yes, you may never have experienced this before, but nobody knows that child like you know that child. There's certain things that only you know. That child has only lived inside of you. And so I feel like, as mums, we need to own that, and we need to be more confident. Yes, it's hard, and yes, you may not have all the answers, and yes, you're going to make mistakes. However, be confident in the fact that, nobody knows your child better than you do, and when you do make mistakes, you can learn from them, and it will help you. If you go on to have more children, it will help you. And that's definitely one thing I learned. When I had Mia, there were so many different things that I struggled with Aiden, that when it came to having Mia, that I was just confident in, because it was like, I've been there, I've done that, I know how to deal with certain things. But having another child was just like a whole new level of guilt, and it's almost like the guilt gets doubled with another child. When I had Mia, I felt guilty that I was maybe being a bit too harsh with Aiden. He was just one when I got pregnant with Mia, and before Mia was born, I felt guilty that he hasn't had enough time to have the full attention himself, and makes me a bit emotional. I'm not gonna cry, yeah, like, I just remember like him running around as a toddler, and me with my big belly, and I couldn't play with him as much. I couldn't get down and roll on the floor like I used to, and I just felt like, this is not fair. Like, he hasn't had enough time to enjoy me and Morgan to himself. And because of that, I made sure that he had his first family holiday as an only child, and I was like 8 months pregnant. I took the risk and flew, because that's how guilty I felt, and I just wanted him to enjoy his last moments of being the only child. And I felt like I kind of rushed it. But again, Mia has been such a blessing to both his life and me and Morgan's life, and so I know that God ordained that to happen. And then once Mia was here, it was almost like he was forced to grow up, and I expected certain things of him, and I had to check myself and say, Samira, he's only one, he's only just turned 2. And with that came a sense of guilt. And on the opposite end of that, and Mia being the second child, I felt guilty about the kind of like the second child syndrome, where they don't get as much attention as the first child did, and they don't get, I think it's just a thought in your head, but they're not getting as much love maybe from other family members, and there's not as much excitement as there is with the first child. And I felt guilty with that. And I remember the first time they both cried at the same time, and I was like,
Father God, is this really my new life?
And I was so torn. I was like, oh my gosh, who do I attend to first? And I felt guilty over that. If I would attend to Aiden, I would feel like, oh my gosh, you're leaving your newborn to cry. And then if I would attend to Mia, I'll be like, oh my gosh, you've left your first love, and now you're putting all your attention on. I was so torn, and that was a whole different type of guilt. And I had to, of course, now I'm used to it, and it's just a case of, you need to learn, you do only have two hands, you do only have two legs, there's only certain things you can do at one time. You know, yes, we're great at multitasking, but one child is sometimes going to need your attention more than the other, and it's down to you to just kind of discern, you know, who needs more of your attention at certain times. And don't get me wrong, of course you love them both the same and they both need your undivided attention at times, but you are going to have to pick and choose. So don't feel guilty about that. You know, there's certain times where one child is going to need your love and attention more than the other child. And you know, it sounds weird even saying that, but it's true. You are only one person. So what I do, I make sure that I have me and Aiden time, and I make sure that I have me and Mia time. And you know, thank God I have a husband that is involved, and you know, he can take one child while I'm with one child, and you know, vice versa. So yeah, like if you ever feel guilty about, you know, having to divide your attention, don't, because you have to do it. It's something that you cannot avoid it. Another time you can feel really guilty as a mum is when you get around other mums. And you know, for me personally, I think that sharing your experiences with other mums is such a great thing, because you get to learn certain things that you wouldn't know. And you know, sometimes if it's something that you're struggling with, it's so good to share it with someone else, because they can be like, oh my gosh, your child does that as well. And then, you know, you start exchanging ideas. Okay, this is what works for me, how about you try this? So that's all great. But there's certain mums that, if you're a mum, you may know what I'm talking about. Like, there's certain mums that you get around them and they just have a way of making you feel like they're doing a better job than you are. You know, their baby sleeps 12 hours through the night. It's been that way since the baby was 2 weeks old, and their baby never cries, has never suffered with colic, and just like make you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so much wrong. And you know, for me personally, I just feel like if your child, you know, is doing great in the area, that is good. And I'm not saying you shouldn't share it, but for the mums that act like, you know, motherhood is perfect, that's good for them. Let them do them. But it's okay to keep it real. Like, it's okay to go to another mum and say, I am struggling. Like, my daughter didn't sleep all night, I don't know what to do. It's okay. Children are not perfect. Babies are not perfect. Babies are hard work. And when you're constantly questioning yourself, it can really bring you to a negative place. And all those overwhelming thoughts can just mess you up and make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, that you're not a good mum, etc, etc, etc. And then on top of that, motherhood on its own, without all of that, without other people's opinions, is hard. It is so hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Babies are so strong-willed, and sometimes you can try all you want to, like, you can try walking up and down with a baby, you can try, like, you try different positions, the baby just won't settle. There's just certain things that you cannot control, and you know, sometimes it can just make you feel really crap and really low and like you don't know what you're doing. And sometimes for me, like, I find myself being short with my kids, and when that happens, I know that, okay, Samira, you need a break, you need to chill out, you need to have a walk, you need to, whatever it is. And it's okay to take time out for yourself. I would definitely say that there's certain things that keep me sane, you know, whether it be going into a room, you know, giving the kids some organ, praying, whether it be going for a walk, whether it be going out with my friends, going to get something to eat, I don't know, going to get my nails done, going to get my hair done. There's certain things that I do that, you know, other mums may look down at me and think, I don't do that with my kids. But I will never allow anyone to make me feel guilty about the way that I live my life when it comes to motherhood, because for me, I feel like, you know, everything needs balance. Like, I can't be, there's so many hats as women that we wear. You know, you're trying to attend to your husband, you're trying to attend to your 2 new children. Like, it's just so much at times. And when I find that I'm, you know, getting short with the kids, or, you know, anything Morgan said is frustrating me, then I know that I need me time. And sometimes you can feel guilty about that. I remember the first time I left Aiden, I felt guilty, and I felt like, oh my gosh, is he going to be okay? You know, especially if you're breastfeeding, you know, you almost feel like, oh my gosh, this is something that nobody else can give them. I need to be with them at all times. And for the mums that, you know, sacrifice the first 2 years of their life to attend to your baby, that is such a beautiful thing. I'm not knocking you, but I just feel like you shouldn't judge women who need a break. Like, it's okay to need a break. It's okay to, you know, have time apart from your baby, to go out once a month maybe even, and, you know, just be free. Like, you have to remember, at the end of the day, I was Samira before I had Aiden and Mia. I was Samira before I met Morgan, and I have to nurture and cater to Samira, and in doing that, I am a better wife for Morgan. I am a better mum for my kids. I am a better Christian, you know. And don't think that your kids don't pick up, you know, when you're being short with them. And they do. They pick up the negativity. They pick up the frustration. So if you find yourself getting to that plate, don't feel guilty to leave them. Go out for a break, you know, have some fun. Find whatever hobby is that makes you, you know, laugh and smile. If it's shopping, go out shopping. And for me, I'm so grateful that I have such a great support system around me. I have my husband, I have my sister-in-law, I have my sister, I have my mum, I have my mother-in-law, I have my father-in-law, I have my brothers even that help look after the kids. And so I have such a great support system around me, and I'm so thankful for that. Shout outs to all of you. I love you guys, and I couldn't do it without you. But for those of you mums out there who don't have that kind of support system, go to a mummy group and, you know, make new friends. And it's okay to pour out and to share your stresses with other women. It's okay. But I think I'm so passionate about this. Like, I could go on forever about this, but I'm gonna, you know, try and break this up into little mini sections so that I can do them in other videos. But yeah, ultimately, you know, what I'm trying to say is, throughout your kids' development, you know, through each stage, you're gonna feel different types of mum guilt, and it is something that is inevitable. But advice that I would definitely give, and again, I'm not an expert, I'm not claiming to be an expert, but what has helped me and what works for me is knowing that I need to take time out and, you know, be myself. I need to take time out and regroup and rethink and, you know, just let my hair down sometimes. Go out and, you know, everything for me is balance. Like, you know, if I don't think as a new mum, you know, you should be going out every single day. Of course you need to give your attention, and that has to be, your kids need to be your priority. But at the same time, you need to cater to you as well. So whatever that is, it might even be something as simple as reading a book. Whatever it is, find what makes you happy and do it, and don't feel guilty about it, and don't allow people to make you feel like you're any less of a mum because of that. And yeah, I would say know and trust your maternal instincts. Know that nobody else knows your child like you do. And yeah, like, it's a constant battle, and, you know, you have to learn how to speak to yourself and learn how to get yourself out of that rut. And if you are a Christian, learn how to let God speak to you and learn how to pour out to God. You know, it's okay to go in the room and cry and say, God, these kids are getting on my nerves. It's okay to do that. Like, God understands, and you have to remember that He's here for you. He's here to help you. If He's given you this role, He's also the same God that can give you the tools to be the best mum that you can be. But yeah, I like to ramble too much, so I'm gonna end it here. Thank you for watching. Comment below what you think and share with me your experiences. Let me know if there's any other topics you want me to talk about. Again, I am not an expert, but I definitely am an expert in my experience, and so that's what I'm going to continue to share. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed watching this, please comment below, please give me a like and subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.